As many of you know, I have been studying Spanish on and off really devotedly for just over a year now. I did that immersive program in July and August of last year, and I've since been taking daily Spanish lessons, reading books in Spanish. I joined a book club in Spanish. I'm getting out there more when it's safe to try to speak Spanish here in Mexico, and get more comfortable, get more confident, two things that I've struggled with since really arriving here in Mexico 4 years ago. So I'm always looking for ways to improve my Spanish. One of the things that I still don't feel totally confident in is like sounding like a local, like speaking not so much like I sound like I've translated English into Spanish. If you know what I mean, like I still don't really know a lot of idioms in Spanish. I still speak a bit like I'm speaking English right now, like not confidently, not completely within the Spanish language. There's still so much of this language that I have to learn, so I'm always open to new ways of learning the language. So when Gritty Spanish reached out to me a couple of weeks ago to test out their program, I went on their website and I knew that this is exactly the sort of thing that I'm missing in my repertoire, being able to speak Spanish like a local. The different videos have different accents. They have gritty Spanish, as it says in the title, learning slang, learning curse words, hearing people speaking, whether they're from Colombia or from Mexico. However, I haven't looked at the app yet, so I'm super excited to check it out, to show you guys whether this program is something that I think is worth the money. And yeah, like let's just get started and see how this can improve our Spanish at the intermediate level, I would say, but we'll find out more. So once you log in, you have access to the different versions of Gritty Spanish. Each one can be individually purchased, or you can purchase them in sets of 2 or all together. It's super straightforward. Once you click on it, you see all the different episodes. Each episode with basics are slightly more basic than the other episodes of each of the different versions, but all of them include a PDF and an audio. Each of the PDFs has a synopsis of the conversation, who the characters are, Spanish and English transcript of the conversation, but the best part for me is that you can click on the words in the conversation that you don't know, and you can get a real breakdown of these conversations and the vocabulary that you want to focus more on. As you get into the versions that are made for intermediate learners, you get a little bit more in terms of vocabulary as well as different accents. So like this episode in the Gritty Spanish original, now you see that the characters also have accents from totally different countries. And you start dealing with a little bit more gritty language. The conversations are longer, and often the notes, the notitas, are a bit more thorough because it has a little bit more to explain. I also like that you get other examples of how else you can use the phrases, so you can connect them with more conversations in your mind. So I've been using the app now for just over a week, testing out all the different levels and the different episodes. I've been using it the way that I would use it if I was studying. I've been studying with it, and I have some thoughts. So the first thing that I want to talk about are just the things that I think are really great about using it, and the reason that I'm going to continue using it in the coming weeks to go alongside my speaking and conversation classes that I have every day. And one of the things that I really love about this, that I keep raving about to anyone who's asking about it, is the PDF part of the app and the program. So like I showed you earlier in the video, every episode that you watch comes with a PDF and an audio, and the PDF has the transcript of the conversation, and then beneath it has like helpful tips for some of the slang that's used, where it's used, some of the phrases, some of the words that are used, especially pertaining to like the country of origin or country in which that phrase has a different meaning. And for me, that is like the coolest, most helpful part of this this whole thing. I've blabbed on about this so much in the past, but for me, one of the best ways to learn a language, one of the best ways that I've really like taken leaps forward in my Spanish is when I memorize like whole phrases, when I like am able to put together thoughts and hear like things in return without having to translate them, because I've memorized them as they are, rather than memorizing like verbs and then like thinking about how to conjugate them. I've just like memorized that conjugation or like that whole phrase, and this PDF, the PDFs for each of these episodes, is such a great way to do that, because you are hearing the conversation, you're seeing the conversation, and then you're memorizing like the phrases and the slang words and the like conjugations of those verbs and how they're used. And for me, that is where I've been spending the most amount of time when I'm studying this. I listen to the conversation over and over again. I read it several times. I listen to the conversation and read it, and then I scroll down onto the bottom part and I read all of those parts. A lot of the slang words and a lot of the phrases I've taken and I've put them in my Anki app, so that I can practice and memorize those phrases on site. So yeah, definitely the PDF is such a thumbs up from me. I think it's a super great addition to just having like the conversation aspect, and it allows you to focus then on the specific slang like of the countries that you want to learn. Like I would skip the Puerto Rican slang or the slang from the Dominican Republic because I'm not going to those countries. I don't have plans to go there anytime soon. So I'm focusing on Mexican slang and Colombian slang, and yeah, it's such a great way, in my opinion, to like boost your Spanish comprehension and your fluidity. Other things that I really like about the app are that you can slow down the audio. I think that's really helpful, especially if you're just getting started and you want to use the beginner or the beginnings, the basics, those two programs. You can slow down the audio so you really focus in on the conversation, you really focus in on each and every word as it's spoken, and then you can speed it back up to normal speed, and sort of carry on practicing hearing it at like a more normal pace. The other thing that I really love are all the different accents in single conversations. So you can click on a conversation and within that single 5-minute audio, you're going to hear Puerto Rican Spanish and Colombian Spanish and Spanish from Spain and Spanish from Puerto Rico and Spanish from Mexico. And it's so great, in my opinion, because you're tuning your ear constantly to the different accents that you're hearing in the conversation. And I've never seen that in any other programs, even on like watching videos on YouTube and stuff in Spanish or listening to podcasts in Spanish. Usually like each episode is just people from one single country with a similar accent, whereas with Gritty Spanish, you're practicing all accents all the time, and your ear is tuning to each accent and the way that people speak certain words, and because they're having the same conversation, you're hearing the same words said differently by people with different accents. So yeah, it's super, super helpful. Another really great thing about the Gritty Spanish program is that the content is super varied. As you saw, there are so many topics, and while the topics and the titles are a little bit silly, the content is varied, the conversations are great, and they're mostly realistic, in a sense that like if you're around a group of people who know each other, like these conversations are things that you'll hear. And I found like some of the episodes, especially about like going shopping or getting on the bus and stuff, super helpful with vocabulary that is much more native than like the words that I was using. So I definitely picked up on a lot more like proper like Spanish words to use rather than like speaking around the topic, which is what I do when I don't know the word. So yeah, that was super, super helpful, like all the varied content, being able to like practice hearing very different conversations. Yeah, no program is perfect. Of course, there are a few things that I think would, if they were added to the program, would make it better. The first thing that I noticed when I started using it was that you couldn't speed up the conversation. Like I felt like there was a lot that I could take from the beginnings version. Like there's quite a lot of really helpful content in there and a lot of really helpful vocabulary for like an intermediate learner. But the conversations were so slow that I felt like it was frustrating to me that it felt like it was too easy or like it wasn't realistic enough. I wanted to speed up the conversation so that I could gain not only from the vocabulary but also like from the listening experience of the program. So yeah, that was a little bit frustrating because I really like wanted them to speak faster, and I felt like I was not wasting my time, but I like my time could have been spent better listening to the faster conversations in like Gritty Spanish original, but I was missing out on the vocabulary and the phrases from the beginnings and the basics, which I would have liked to have like be part of my vernacular. Something else that I think would make the app better is if you could filter by accent. So you don't know until you open each episode what accents you're going to be listening to for that episode. And there's a lot of episodes where they are only people who are speaking with a Puerto Rican accent or a Dominican Republic accent or a Spanish accent from Spain. And I live in Mexico. My focus right now is Mexican Spanish, Mexican slang, Mexican isms. And there are plenty of them in the program, but you have to like open up each episode to find out. And if you're on your phone, it means you have to download each episode and then wait for it to download, open it up, and then only to see that like there's no Mexican Spanish in that episode. And then you have to do that again for each one to check. So like if you could maybe have like a way to see what the accents were before choosing the episode, or being able to just be like, okay, I only want to work with ones that have Mexican accents and Mexican slang, then I think that would be a lot better for people who want to focus on specific Spanish. Last thing that just like I found a bit frustrating was that like the conversations are realistic, but the situations aren't particularly realistic. After living in Mexico for 4 years, I'm not saying this doesn't happen in other countries or even in other parts of Mexico, but living in the capital, taking the metro, getting to know the culture of people here, like you're never getting on the subway and hearing like a Mexican woman curse out a man because like his backpack is pushing into her. Like that's not gonna happen. I don't know, like I feel like there's like a cultural bias missing, like that like people aren't doing like speaking to like strangers like this. People are definitely speaking to their friends like this, or their family, or you know, like people they know. But I felt like there was like a very American slant to the conversations. So like the reactions, although in Spanish, were like American, if you know what I mean. So that was a little bit frustrating for me, because I understand the cultural situations here in Mexico, and I would never use certain words or say or act a certain way in front of strangers, because I know that's not the done thing. But there are travelers who are learning Spanish using this, and maybe they don't know that. Maybe they think that like they're being funny, or I don't know, like that it's normal, but it's not. So I think that that's like something that maybe should be shifted, or at least addressed, that like this is all for fun, and like it's great, it's a great, really engaging and funny way to practice Spanish, but like you shouldn't necessarily be like taking the Spanish and using it in Mexico, or using it in Puerto Rico, or using it in Colombia. So yeah, I don't know about that. But either way, I really enjoy this program. I'm going to continue using it. I think it's a really great tool for learning phrases and learning slang, especially like all in one place, without having to like just simply Google it and find one video that's like 5 slang words in Spanish, and you don't even know like for what country or anything like that. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this. I'm definitely going to keep using it. If you have any questions about using the app, definitely let me know in the comments below, and I will answer any questions you have. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what else you're using at the moment to study Spanish. I always love to find out more programs to use, and I will see you next time. Bye.